Wow, a great series between the Flyers and Rangers, a huge finish between the Wild and Avalanche, and a massive comeback by the Kings against the Sharks. I can't decide what I liked more.
Don't change the subject. You apologize to Sharks fans right now, you jinxing douche.
Woo!
Are you just gonna get hammered? Get me a toaster.
Magic Angel Robot from Winnipeg! What the hell are you talking about?
This team is ruining my life!
Why does every team I endorse suck?
It was bad enough with the Leafs, but now I'm hurting you! Just kill me, go right for the jugular, give me a shark hickey!
Oh, this could be the Sharks here! I'm so sorry, Sharks fans, but congratulations to the LA Kings. Well, we might as well start with that series and then move on to Colorado, Minnesota, and Philly, New York. The LA Kings win 5-1 in Game 7 over the San Jose Sharks, and they become just the fourth team in NHL history to come back from a 3-0 series deficit. Sharks start the game up 1-0, things look rosy. But after that, Jonathan Quick shuts it down, and then you got the rest of the Kings to deal with. The Kings aren't exactly known as a highly offensive team, but they had 18 different point getters in this series. The Sharks, who I would say are known as an offensive team, also had 18. 36 different players had a point in this series. What a war, and what a comeback. Doughty scores his first in a very timely manner. Anze Kopitar continues to be dominant. Pearson sets up Toffoli for a nice one, and the Kings successfully watch the throne. The worst part about all this, not that I'm a jinxing douche, not that I contributed to the heartbreak of a bajillion Sharks fans. Joe Thornton's face. His face looked like you put his favorite childhood toy in a blender in front of him. And you were just like, look it! Watch! Like he was about to reach 1,000 on Flappy Bird and you just slapped it out of his hands at $9.99. Like he spent weeks raising his Tamagotchi pet exactly the way he wanted it raised, fed it the right meals, snacks when appropriate, did the proper training, and then someone took a tiny little pin and hit the reset button. That's what Joe Thornton looked like. And listen, a lot of people are on the win it for Iggy bandwagon. I myself am a little conflicted because I love Jerome McGinley, but the Bruins are the Bruins. Win it for Jumbo Joe has got to start up because, dude, how doesn't Joe Thornton have a cup? Because I don't think the answer is Joe Thornton. And one quick thing, I was getting into a Twitter discussion last night. How can a reporter interview a player in that condition? Well, I'm not a regular reporter, but I've done it. And it's hard. Obviously, a million times harder for the player, not the reporter. But your job is to really tell the story. Not to be a vulture about it, but to tell the story. We capture them at their highest of highs, raising trophies, patting each other on the back. Justin Williams after this game, oh, that was such a great series. Well, that means you got to do the other stuff too. And a lot of great inspiring stuff comes out of the winning talk. Oh, perseverance and sticking to it and hard work and have your milk and vegetables, kids. The same stuff happens with losing. So I think you have to interview a player when they're devastated, even though it's hard. Within reason, of course. I've been in scrums with players where they were clearly on the verge of tears, clearly on the verge of losing it, and it was a scrum of like 20 people. Everyone just looked at each other, not a word was spoken, and we backed off. And sometimes you'll get a quote like from Dave Cameron, current assistant coach of the Ottawa Senators. He was the head coach of the Mississauga St. Mike's Majors when they lost in the Memorial Cup final. The same year, they lost in Game 7 overtime of the OHL final, and he lost at the World Juniors. And he opened with a line I will never forget, and it goes across all sports. Losing sucks, doesn't it? And hopefully when Joe Thornton eventually wins his cup, we'll look back on that picture. We'll look back on what he said after this game, and it'll make it that much sweeter. Meanwhile, the Kings, now that they're watching the throne, don't let them get in that zone, because now they're going to be part of an all-California series with the Ducks. And remember what I said a few videos ago about, oh, if the Sharks make it, they'll never have to leave California until the 3rd round. Well, I'm not going to jinx the Kings the way I did to the Sharks, but you know where Anaheim is, right? Next, the Minnesota Wild win 5-4 in overtime over the Colorado Avalanche in Game 7, eliminating the Avalanche from the playoffs. Minnesota moves on to round 2, where they will play the Chicago Blackhawks.
El Nino! In the words of Chris Farley, El Nino is Spanish for the Nino.
El Nino, Nino Niederreiter with the series-winning goal in overtime. This Game 7 victory brought to you by the New York Islanders. The Minnesota Wild have Matt Molson, who they got in a trade with the Islanders, Nino Niederreiter, who they got in a trade for Cal Clutterbuck with the Islanders, and Jared Spurgeon, who they signed for nothing because the Islanders drafted him and didn't bother signing him. Add in Thomas Vanek, and there's a whole lot of former Islanders going to the 2nd round. Avalanche fans, please don't take this the wrong way. The Wild probably deserved to win that series. They looked really really dangerous, and they outshot the Avalanche, I think, in every game, most of the games. And you look and you go, well, but how about Tyson Barrie? The Avalanche were up 2-0 with Tyson Barrie. Fair point. And Tyson Barrie for Matt Cook is not a fair trade. But if the Wild got consistent goaltending, I think they're a better team. Right now, that is. You look at Colorado, you look at the success they had this season, you look at how young they are. Where do they go from here? I think it'll be hard for them to have another top 3 finish next year, but I could see them in the playoffs. Minnesota with no quit in this game that has kept coming back. Darcy Kemper clearly battling something, had to leave the game. Mature decision to do that. I think a lot of players would have tried to battle through that. But the problem is, I think during the regular season, and especially in the playoffs, a lot of players try to battle through injuries when, even though that seems heroic, you might be hurting your team. The trade-off is in comes Ilya Bryzgalov. Oh. He had one job. Don't allow another goal. He didn't, and there goes Jared Spurgeon. Allowing for Nino Niederreiter, snipe, bar down, beautiful goal, and that's the series for Minnesota. Not the same comeback as the one that the LA Kings had, but they were down 2-0. So were the Hawks. The Hawks were down 2-0 to the Blues. The team that was down 3-1 won the first 4 games of the Pittsburgh-Columbus series. Leads suck, apparently. And now, full credit to the Minnesota Wild for what they've done. Full credit to Ilya Bryzgalov for coming in like that. Now it's Ilya Bryzgalov and the Minnesota Wild taking on the Chicago Blackhawks. Have fun with that. And somebody tweeted me this morning, a Minnesota Wild fan, that, well, the Wild had a winning record against the Blackhawks this season. Yeah, but the Blackhawks, though. They do things to teams, and a lot of them aren't nice. Kind of interesting, though, that Patrick Waugh's first season as an NHL head coach ends the exact same way that his last season as an NHL player ended, with an overtime Game 7 loss to the Wild. But you already know that because every sports TV and radio station has already beaten that into your head, so why am I saying it in these videos? Here's a grenade I'll lob at you. Matt Cook is going to play in the second round. How do you feel about that? Last but not least, the New York Rangers win 2-1 over the Philadelphia Flyers. That was in Game 7. That means the Rangers move on to round 2. The Flyers are out. In a series with names like Rick Nash and Martin St. Louis and Claude Giroux and the Wayne Train Wayne Simmons, the 3 goal scorers in this game, Dan Carcillo, Benoit Pouliot, and Jason Akeson. Game 7s are stupid, said the Leafs fan. It's weird. Dan Carcillo is one of those names that I never hear about unless it's in the playoffs. I just hear his name come up in the play-by-play and I go, oh, that's the team he's on this month. The guy keeps hanging around and he keeps making the playoffs, it seems. And Carbomb opens the scoring in this one, 1-0 off a nice one. Benoit Pouliot, another guy who pings around a lot, gets the second goal. The eventual game winner, the eventual series winner. And Jason Akeson, who got into huge penalty trouble earlier in this series, makes up for it with a big goal, gives the Flyers a chance to win. And a couple inches here, Claude Giroux might have had one. And a couple inches there, Giroux might have had 2. Hockey's not fair. Playing a team with Henrik Lundqvist as their goalie is not fair, as I'm sure the Pittsburgh Penguins will find out. Question of the night, what's your bracket looking like? I did a draft with my fiance where we all picked the teams that were in the playoffs. I have 3 teams left, she has 5. Whatever, she got to pick first. And what do you think is going to happen in the next round? Want to know what I think is going to happen? No, of course you don't. I jinx everything. I'm not going to ruin this video by doing that. No, I'm gonna ruin next video by doing it tomorrow morning. So that's it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. You might as well. It's the end of round 1, and I will see you in round 2.